Buenos Aires, the political and economic capital of Argentina. Stately colonial architecture, wide tree-lined avenues, birthplace of the tango. It's known as the Paris of South America. But miles from the beautiful neighborhoods, misery. 250,000 people live in abject poverty in slums known as Villas Miserias. One ray of hope is a grassroots ambulance service that has operated here for more than 6 years. Valeria Shapiro is a trained nurse who works on these ambulances 5 days a week. She lives here and devotes herself to caring for those around her. On the other side of the world, Mumbai is India's largest city. Formerly called Bombay, it's India's economic hub, densely populated by the richest of the rich and the poorest of the poor. Half of the 18 million people in this city of extremes reside in sprawling shanty towns built of corrugated tin. So many people crowded together with poor sanitation make for deplorable living conditions. Respiratory illnesses, diarrhea, malaria, and tuberculosis are common. In this extreme poverty, AmbuCare's dedicated paramedics bring relief to the most needy. The day begins in Villa 11114, a cold, impersonal name for the most dangerous drug and crime-ridden district in Buenos Aires. Rates of crime in this neighborhood are 6 times higher than in surrounding neighborhoods. Major police operations are routine. Patrols monitor the district constantly, but despite the strong police presence, state ambulances refuse to enter. At first glance, these cramped concrete block slums appear to share few similarities with the sprawling makeshift shantytowns of Mumbai, other than the thousands of desperate, forgotten people who live there. Valeria has lived here for 21 years. She's one of 53,000 residents crammed into an area less than 1/3 of a square kilometer. These dwellings were built by migrants in the 1950s, when a wave of people escaping poverty in the countryside flooded the city and squatted on this land.
Buen día!
Hello! How are you?
¿Cómo están?
The state granted the squatters the right to live on the land, but provides no utilities, no water, no electricity. Residents illegally tap into the electric grid and aqueducts, bring in bottled water and gas tanks for cooking. Valeria is a popular figure on these squalid streets. The paramedic is well loved for her unshakable commitment to the community. People greet her warmly, even running out of their homes with gifts and food.
Buen día, chicos.
Hi,
Hola, Horacio. Acá está reflejado nuestra ambulancia, nuestra lucha, el Che Guevara, el padre Mujica, un luchador de las villas, y ahí un grande, un héroe para nosotros, y que seguimos sus pasos. Por eso decidimos tener nuestra ambulancia con sus plotter, con sus caras.
Carlos Mujica was a local priest who championed the rights of the underclass. Unfortunately, his passionate advocacy ended with his assassination in 1974, a tragic sentence shared by too many in Argentina's troubled past. Valeria and her colleagues are headed to a demonstration in honor of 2 more homegrown activists, murdered for their social efforts. There will be a strong police presence. The risk of violence and injury is high.
Nos vamos a preparar para irnos a la marcha. Vos subís conmigo. Falta uno al
There's no antiseptic.
Tenemos que buscar alcohol en la reja. Perfecto. Faltaría oxímetro que está del otro lado y ya estamos.
The team won't go in unprotected. They'll be accompanied by bodyguards. The risks are real.
En mi equipo está el compañero Amilcar, que es camillero y chofer de la ambulancia. Y la compañera Grimet, que es enfermera, también es del barrio. Y en esta marcha nos acompaña ella por cualquier evento. Somos dos para poder actuar.
As soon as they arrive at the protest, Valeria and her team must jump into action.
Es que tenés pérdida, tenés algo de eso, ¿no? Acá, poneme los pies ahí. Exactamente. Quédate tranquila.
The ambulance becomes a busy refuge for protesters who aren't feeling well. Vilas residents have many health problems. Diabetes, high blood pressure, and substance abuse are common. The team checks vital signs and screens for any serious or life-threatening conditions. At this time, no one requires transport to hospital. More protesters arrive. They join hands to form a human chain, a symbol of solidarity with their murdered compatriots. At the height of the economic crisis of 2002, two activists, aged 21 and 22, were gunned down by police while protesting for better job security and unemployment benefits. The officers were sentenced to life in prison, but citizens here still don't think justice has been served.
En la marcha de Darío Santillán, hace 17 años, le mataron.
He was killed 17 years ago for defending the basic rights of people.
Tension mounts. The police have erected a massive metal barrier to prevent protesters from reaching the city center. Riot squads surround the area.
Bueno, la ambulancia es importante fundamentalmente porque en la situación actual de macrismo, digamos, las movilizaciones que llamamos de movimientos populares no son movilizaciones pacíficas, no por nuestra voluntad, sino porque Máximo, con las fuerzas represivas, digamos, acciona de distintas maneras, y una de ellas es...
Out of the melee, a young woman comes to the paramedics in severe pain.
Lie down.
Acostate.
Please lie down.
Respira tranquila.
We'll take care of you.
Ahí está.
The protester has serious abdominal pain. Her condition isn't related to the demonstration. She's had recurring pain for some time, but hasn't seen a doctor.
Tranquila.
On the shores of the Arabian Sea, Mumbai, the symbol of India's economic emergence, is waking up. In this city of extreme contrasts, the fabulously wealthy rub shoulders with the desperately poor. It's estimated that within a few years, this megalopolis will be the most overpopulated municipality in the world. Each day, nearly 1,000 indigent, rural migrants arrive in Mumbai seeking better fortunes. But their poverty forces them into the city's shanty towns, like Ganpatpati Nagar, commonly called Naya Dharavi. It's the city's second largest slum. Recent estimates peg the population here at 50,000 souls, stuffed into this tiny neighborhood, the site of a filled-in wetland. Here, the streets are so narrow, no ambulance can drive through.
Good morning, AmbuCare ambulance.
But restrictive street access doesn't prevent AmbuCare's professionals from getting to patients who need medical attention and transport, even when they can't pay for it.
Okay, there is an ambulance call, right? I am giving to Dr. Samir. He is managing right now. Just hold on.
Hello.
Dr. J.
Note down your address.
Call Dr. Pradeep.
AmbuCare is a private company specializing in the transportation of patients with heart and respiratory problems, two of the most common health issues in Mumbai. But AmbuCare also fills a first responder void in the city because it serves people who otherwise couldn't afford such services. Before AmbuCare was founded, private ambulances were only available to the rich. The less fortunate and the poor residents of shanty towns had to use the public system. But there are only 93 state-owned ambulances in all of Mumbai, far too few for such a huge population. The service may be free, but the quality is poor. A recent study showed that only 4% of ambulance personnel have adequate training, and that emergency calls regularly go unanswered. On the other hand, private companies have quick response times and offer quality care. But good service comes at a high cost. Although AmbuCare is private, it has a social mission to help wherever it can, which includes servicing the more than 9 million Indians who live in Mumbai's sprawling shanty towns.
We have a services called 108. So generally they try to call those ambulances, but always they are not available. Standards are not very high. And second option is private ambulances. Again, in that we have good ambulances, we have average ambulances. So good companies, they are giving better services.
This morning, doctors Jay and Pradeep are doing the rounds, meeting residents of Ganpat Patil Nagar. Life is hard here. Squalid living conditions with no access to clean water make it a breeding ground for numerous illnesses. The average life expectancy in the slum is less than 60 years.
इसके साथ अगर पेशेंट को अगर कोई कार्डियक प्रॉब्लम है और उन्होंने ऐसा लगा कि भाई नॉर्मल सर्दी खांसी है और उसकी वजह से उन्होंने प्रॉपर ट्रीटमेंट नहीं लिया तो क्या होगा कि वो कार्डियक फेलियर बढ़ जाएगा उसकी वजह से पेशेंट फ्लूइड ओवरलोड में चला जाएगा तो वो टाइप की इमरजेंसी भी आ सकती है ऐसा तो वो भी देखना पड़ेगा कि उसके लिए एडिक्वेट इक्विपमेंट हमारे पास हो
People are not that much aware about what is the exact hazardness of the diseases, and they just neglect the small things. They think this is small, that's maybe gas or that maybe thing, but that is all the cardiac issues are there because people are not aware about that.
इसमें एम्बुलेंस तो आ नहीं सकती है ये पतली गली में चौड़ी गली है उसमें एम्बुलेंस आ सकती है इसलिए यहाँ पे दिक्कतें होती है अगर कोई बीमार हो गया तो उसे 2-4 आदमी पकड़ के लेके जाते बाहर एम्बुलेंस में
Abdul Magnet is a family man and longtime resident of Ganpat Patil Nagar. He's reassured to know that people who live in his neighborhood can call AmbuCare's quality ambulance service. He knows all too well what it means to have to fend for yourself when a loved one is very sick and needs to go to hospital.
जैसे अभी हमारे दूसरे नंबर की लड़की है इतना तकलीफ हुआ
One morning when I got home from work around 10 a.m., she was too sick to walk. I had to carry her out of the house on my shoulders and take her to the hospital in a small rickshaw. She was hospitalized for nearly a week with tuberculosis. Luckily, she received proper treatment and she's fine now.
महानगरपालिका हॉस्पिटल में लेके गए
हाँ AmbuCare, Dr. Pradeep here. Okay sir. Okay sir. Can you send me the location sir? Location मुझे भेज दीजिए. मैं पहुँचता हूँ sir. Yes. Hardly sir 15-20 minutes.
Another family from Ganpat Patil Nagar needs urgent assistance.
Ready? Yeah. Just on the menu, all the things, okay? Yeah, sure.
In Buenos Aires, the demonstration memorializing 2 murdered activists continues. Tensions are high. Riot police stand by, ready to move in. Inside the ambulance, the team attends to a woman suffering from extreme abdominal pain.
Are you ready to go?
As soon as we got here, a woman came to see us with acute stomach pain. My colleague is examining her now. She'll determine if the patient can be given medication or if she should be taken to hospital.
The woman's symptoms are serious. Without delay, the ambulance rushes her to a nearby public hospital. The team is split up. With her colleagues en route to hospital, Valeria has stayed behind, ready to administer first aid should the need arise.
Bueno, nosotros nos quedamos ahora acompañando la marcha con el compañero rescatista. El móvil se tuvo que ir a guardia con 2 pacientes, con 2 compañeras. Una tenía embarazo de riesgo, tenía mucho dolor abdominal. Entonces decidimos, como es de riesgo, antes de emperridarlo, hacer una ecografía urgente. Embarazo a gestación de 2 meses de embarazo.
Argentina has a complex, fragmented, 3-tier healthcare system. A high-end private system for the wealthy that only serves 10% of the population. A public system which is free for all, but widely denounced as inefficient. And lastly, a hybrid system known here as obras sociales. This 3rd tier combines public funds with employer-employee contributions managed by trade unions. Tempers are heating up. The hostility is palpable. Violence could break out at any moment. There are many women and children in the crowd. Valeria calls for reinforcements.
Posible represión hay ahora, ya hay amenaza de represión, entonces estoy pidiendo que vengan. En cuanto empiece la represión, acuden las 6 ambulancias a la marcha. Ese es un código que ya tenemos porque una sola ambulancia no vamos a abastecer a tantos compañeros. Por eso se pide a todas las ambulancias. En caso de represión, si no está la mía, que viene para acá.
Decide not to break through the security fence. Fortunately, today's march will end without incident. But people must return to their homes without answers and without remedies to their deplorable living conditions. Valeria is back at the Corriente Vieira Independiente headquarters. It's the collective that was created by Vilas residents who'd become exasperated by the government's long-standing refusal to make public ambulance services available in the Vilas Miserias. In 2014, a group of residents staged a 54-day hunger strike to raise awareness about their plight.
Organizado y que está teniendo un problema, eso es poder popular. Pero si nosotros perdemos de vista.
This afternoon, employees and volunteers have gathered to strategize on how to better serve the Vila 11114. State paramedics generally refuse to go into the villas. They claim the streets are too narrow and poorly marked, and the risk of being attacked is too high.
Y Y el gobierno de la ciudad decidió para levantar la carpa, levantar la herramienta de lucha porque se acercaba el mundial hace 6 años. Nos dio una ambulancia, nos dio el dinero para una ambulancia y nosotros con eso compramos 3 y no nos contentamos con tener una ambulancia por barrio, sino que nos organizamos, nos formamos los trabajadores y las trabajadoras de la salud dentro del barrio como rescatistas, como enfermeras. Las ambulancias son una de las cosas que más queremos.
Since its inception, the collective has undertaken many other community initiatives. This public cafeteria helps to feed the locals, and any profits are used to fund the ambulances.
Me voy a ver a mi cocinera favorita, Abby, que se va para allá. ¿Qué vamos a comer hoy, rico? Arroz con pollo. ¿Para cuántos están cocinando? Como para 300 personas. Como 300 personas vienen al comedor, se hace la comida para los compañeros que trabajan en la cooperativa y más los vecinos que se suman, que necesitan un plato de comida a diario.
Food co-ops, mobile and permanent clinics, first aid courses, and home care are some of the services this organization offers. Without them, residents of the slums might not have any access to social assistance.
Eso, grítame. Eso, mi amor.
The co-op also runs a fire department. Valeria's family has a presence there as well.
Y él es Rodrigo, es mi hijo, que también participa acá. Y bueno, mi orgullo, porque está acá, porque decidió él, no lo impulsé un poquito, pero él decidió venir acá.
Acá, bueno, otro tanque.
Eso es lo que nos gusta a nosotros, ayudar a la gente, no pedir nada a cambio. Esto es totalmente gratuito para todos. Y ella siempre me ayudó, me ayuda a todos, me enseñó a ser humilde. Y eso es lo que son mis raíces, así que me gusta hacer esto. Me gusta ayudar. Eso nos llena.
The collective receives no state funding. It must generate its own revenues to cover its costs. These costs include the maintenance of 6 ambulances and salaries for 12 paramedics. So the organization has had to find creative ways to raise funds. Combined income from lotteries, food sales, and even the sale of propane to substitute for electricity helps keep the organization afloat.
Vienen con nosotros, vamos a buscar a Jessica, la llevamos a Jessica, después regresamos al barrio.
The collective carefully maintains its fleet and keeps it up to date. Their ambulances are as well equipped as the state's, with 2 notable exceptions. They don't carry defibrillators and they don't have doctors on board.
¿Le puede avisar que estamos dirigiéndonos a su domicilio?
The team is on its way to pick up a young disabled woman. They'll transport her to a rehabilitation center for scheduled treatment. The AmbuCare team in Mumbai is responding to an emergency in one of the megalopolis's largest slums. An elderly woman has been found unconscious on the floor of her home. A neighbor meets the team to take them to the patient. The streets here are very narrow. Curious children come from all directions. As he backs up, the driver must be extremely vigilant. The lanes are too narrow for the ambulance to get through. The rest of the journey will be made on foot.
Yes.
The patient's neighbor guides the doctor through the labyrinth of alleyways. numbers or addresses to identify the tens of thousands of homes here.
Okay, open your eyes. What happened to you? Can you open your mouth? Say and please open your eyes.
The ailing woman shares a tiny two-room shack with 4 other family members.
Very good. Yes.
Dr. Pradeep's crew has left their vehicle in a safe location. They rush to join him. A flexible stretcher will make the woman's journey from home to ambulance more comfortable. The terrain in the slum is rugged and uneven. It would be impossible to roll a stretcher over all the rocks and rubbish.
Basically, the patient is she has a history of seizure disorder, and she has one episode of convulsion today. She has a history of fall. She fell down 1 hour before. So right now she is drowsy. She is obeying the commands, but not responding that much. So that's the reason. So most probably her sugars may have got down. Her sugar, she may be hypoglycemic, or other else we have to do the things.
Relatives and neighbors of the elderly patient help the emergency team get her to the ambulance safely. In India, solidarity helps compensate for the lack of resources. Coming together to help one another is deeply ingrained in the culture. The woman will be taken to a small, privately operated health center. Although she's poor, her condition is too serious for treatment at a public hospital. The public system is chronically underfunded. Equipment, medicine, and even beds are scarce. India has one of the lowest per capita levels of spending on public health care. A scant 1% of gross domestic product. Their private system boasts state-of-the-art hospitals and top-notch care. But public hospitals are overcrowded and dilapidated. Wait times are long. Corruption is endemic. Bribery is the go-to method to jump the queue and see a doctor more quickly.
और उस फिट में she has a history of
her blood pressure and oxygen levels were very low when we picked her up at home.
ऐसा हो गया.
We managed to stabilize her on her way here.
तो BP suddenly crash हो गया था lower side.
I'm happy to say that her oxygen level has improved and her blood pressure is normal now.
Increased. Right now everything is okay. My job is from shifting and taking the patient as I am being in emergency field. So my job is to take the patient from one from anywhere at the emergency
to the nearest
shift the patient to the nearest destination according to the patient.
We can for this patient.
What I can do in the ambulance, I have done it.
In the hospital to take over and see to her treatment.
They will do the things. Ready? Ready? Yeah. Just hold the hand all the things. Okay? Yeah. Sure.
Despite the abundance of healthcare facilities in India, 500 million people have no medical coverage. The forgotten poor, living in deplorable, inhumane conditions in Mumbai's ever-growing slums, are left to fend for themselves. In Buenos Aires, Valeria and her team are scheduled to transport a young amputee from her home in the slums to a rehabilitation center. The emergency responders at the Corriente Vieira Independiente Collective have taken pains to memorize the complex labyrinth that is the streets and alleys of the slums. It's essential knowledge. There are no official addresses in Villa 11114. Residents have fashioned a system to identify streets, alleys, crossings, and houses as best they can. But the area is always expanding. It's a struggle to maintain a system with any logic.
Hola, buen día.
How are you?
Acá en los barrios, en las villas, es todo así, le dicen por manzana, ¿sí? Esta es una manzana, esta es otra manzana. Y va por numeración, 22, la de al lado es 23. Se diferencia mucho alrededor, ¿sí? Esta es la manzana 17, esta tiene que ser la manzana 18 o 19, una de esas dos. Va diferenciado por manzana.
Jessica recently survived a terrible train accident, resulting in the loss of her legs and one arm. During her recovery, she has relied on the community paramedics for transport to her twice-weekly rehab sessions.
Bueno, te pasaríamos de acá a la camilla ya. Dale, Jessie.
1, 2, 3.
The young woman has an appointment at a public rehabilitation clinic where she won't have to pay for her treatments. Nearly 1/3 of Argentina's population, about 15 million people, live in low-income households and benefit from free public health care.
I could take public transit, but it's complicated for me. I can't go by myself. I really need someone to accompany me. Otherwise, I couldn't get there.
Valeria and her team of community health professionals are more than paramedics. For the residents of Villa 11114, they're true guardian angels. On the morning shift in Mumbai, AmbuCare personnel will transport an 85-year-old diabetic patient home following treatment in hospital for lung and urinary tract infections. AmbuCare makes between 25 and 35 calls to paying patients every day. A portion of the profits from these calls helps to fund the costs of the company's special mandate to provide humanitarian care to residents in Mumbai's slums.
હું અને ડૉક્ટર સમીર છે બંને અમે વી આર એન એક્સપર્ટ ઇન મેડિકલ ટ્રાન્સપોર્ટેશન અને અમે બંને પેશન્ટ શિફ્ટ કરી રહ્યા છીએ એલોંગ વિથ વન ડ્રાઈવર એન્ડ વન મેડિકલ એટેન્ડન્ટ. સમીર છે એ વેન્ટિલેટર એક્સપર્ટ છે તો હી ઇઝ જસ્ટ ટેકિંગ કેર ઓફ ધ વેન્ટિલેટર.
You shifted her from the hospital machine to our machine, ambulance machine.
This is a private hospital, but it lacks basic modern conveniences. There's no elevator, and the corridors are narrow. Nurses are on hand to help move the octogenarian from her room to the ambulance. The drive home is not an emergency, but dense traffic keeps the pace at a crawl. The driver hits the ambulance's lights and sirens, hoping to speed up the trip for the elderly patient. Drivers in Mumbai are notorious for refusing to make way for ambulances. First response vehicles are so delayed by traffic that 1 in 10 patients dies en route to hospital. The patient's home is in an upper-middle-class neighborhood, far from Mumbai's slums. Although their lives are worlds apart, the well-to-do octogenarian is invisibly linked to the poorest citizens in her city. By paying the bill for this ride home, she'll help fund humanitarian services for those who can't afford them.
The patient was very critical, basically, so we had shifted him to our residence. And right now he's on ventilator.
You will be available. So if there's anything I can call you, you'll be available.
Yeah,
call me, I'll be available.
Yes, thank you.
AmbuCare's doctors, attendants, and drivers often work multiple shifts, with no time to go home in between. They share an apartment where they make meals and relax between calls.
We're in operation 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Some doctors have 12-hour shifts, others have 24-hour shifts. We take turns taking care of patients.
Happy journey. Bye. Enjoy. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Dr. Bimal and his associates founded AmbuCare following a painful personal experience. The company has one important goal: to provide efficient ambulance services, even to the poorest people living in Mumbai's slums. Rich or poor, the loss of a loved one is painful. Dr. Bimal hopes AmbuCare's services will spare other families from the grief he faced in 2001.
One day I still remember, I got a call from my family that my father has got a myocardial infarction, very bad heart attack in my birthplace, Porbandar. Unfortunately, he died within very small time. We decided to do something at best transportation. Our work is like to save the life and be in the 100% of the emergency which we are in, right? Of course, and any patient, like patient is a poor or rich, patient is a patient, emergency is an emergency. So for all human, it's the same for us. After all, we solve the emergency, we save the life. That is the story.
It's a quiet morning in Villa 11114. 37-year-old nurse and mother Valeria Shapiro and volunteer social workers crisscross the neighborhood. As there are no emergencies or transfers to attend to, they're spending time going door to door, meeting citizens and conducting routine health checks. This kind of community outreach is important to the residents of the villas, many of whom are completely destitute. In recent years, a severe economic crisis has caused inflation to skyrocket. In some cases, prices have risen by nearly 50%. The country's citizens are being plunged ever more deeply into poverty.
Yo especialmente no considero que sea una villa miseria. Por ahí le dicen miseria, yo no, porque es un lugar donde viene el vecino, el compatriota de otro país, no tiene dónde quedarse, más allá de que no se pueda alquilar hoy en día en Buenos Aires, no encuentran dónde alquilar y acá vienen por la necesidad de tener un futuro mejor, de poder trabajar mejor y tener un lugar donde dormir, donde descansar. Pero no lo considero que sea miseria especialmente.
Living conditions for slum residents are precarious. People in fragile health are at the greatest risk. Valeria and her team go to the home of an elderly woman who must be transferred to the hospital. These days, the team can drive through these areas in relative safety. But in the early days of the collective, before residents knew about the community ambulance service, emergency workers were often attacked.
At first, residents bullied and threatened us. So we stopped coming here. Once, someone even pointed a gun at my head. We spent a lot of time explaining what we were doing. They finally figured out why we keep coming. They understand we're here to help. So now, you can come and go without a problem.
They're attending to a woman who lives in a tiny two-room house. Her condition makes it hard for her to walk.
Buenos días.
Hello. How are you?
¿Es hora?
Are you ready to go?
She She requires regular treatments for diabetes and a heart condition. But the elderly woman is too weak to travel for her treatments alone.
This young man is very helpful. He turns the lights off and he locks the door for me. Those are things I would have a hard time doing on my own. He doesn't have to do all that. Another paramedic might say, I'm not doing that. It's not part of my job.
The community ambulance staff treat her with humanity and kindness. She sees them as a real blessing.
The clinic where I seek my treatments offers a transportation service for patients, but not to those of us who live in the villas. They don't want to come here. They never do. They're afraid to come here.
The woman is transferred to a public clinic. Once she's released, the co-op staff will oversee her progress until her recovery is complete.
Es diferente
Working for the cooperative is really
porque
different.
la ambulancia del Estado hace el
Once
traslado,
state
dejan el
paramedics
hospital y
transfer
ahí
their
termina
patients
su
to the
trabajo,
hospital.
¿no?
Their work is done.
Nosotros es diferente,
It's not
nosotros
the same
hacemos un
for us.
seguimiento, al ser
Because
nuestro
the patients
vecino,
are our neighbors.
nos cruzamos, si lo
If
dejamos
you
para
bring a patient back
internación,
from the hospital
nos cruzamos la
and meet him in the
semana y lo
neighborhood or walk
vemos
past his house a
o
few
vamos
days
al
later,
domicilio y le preguntamos cómo
you want to make
está,
sure
qué
that everything is
necesita,
okay.
nos
That he doesn't
ofrecemos,
need anything.
nos llaman para que
Patients
hagamos
call
los
us
controles o
personally
alguna
to come check their
curación,
blood pressure.
es
So it's
muy
very
diferente.
Personalized care helps combat loneliness and social isolation. It's at the heart of the Corriente Vieira Independiente's mission. AmbuCare headquarters, Mumbai.
Good morning, AmbuCare Cardiac Ambulance. How can I help you? Okay, when you want to transfer the patient? Okay. Yeah, it will reach within 15 minutes. Yeah. What is the patient condition? Okay.
It's still early, but the phone has been ringing off the hook at AmbuCare. It'll be a record day for calls from paying patients needing transportation to and from hospital. AmbuCare's reputation for top-tier service is well known across Mumbai. Their privately owned ambulances are well-equipped and come with highly trained personnel. These devoted first responders don't shy away from busy shifts. They know that every paying customer helps to subsidize their important charitable work. In the slums, thousands of new cases of typhoid fever and diphtheria are known to break out every day. Those who are aware of AmbuCare's services may call for help, but others suffer in silence. Abdul pays a visit to his neighbor. The man has a fever. Abdul wishes to confirm that his condition isn't serious. The gentleman has no health insurance. He can't afford a stay at a private hospital, let alone a ride in an ambulance. Like millions of Indians living in crowded makeshift houses, Abdul and his family find ways to pool resources to meet basic needs.
तो फिल्टर का तो कोई चांस ही नहीं है कि लेकर आए फिल्टर करे और बॉयल कौन करता है कोई बॉयल नहीं करता यहाँ पर पानी तो सब वैसे ही पीते हैं कैन से लेकर आया सॉरी टैंक में टाकी में डाला टाकी से घर पे आया सब ऐसे पीते हैं अब ये इन्फेक्शन तो होगा ना गले में पर क्या कर सकते हैं सब पीते हैं अभी यहाँ पर क्या हर किसी घर में बाथरूम नहीं है अब जिन्होंने नया नया बनाया उन्होंने बनवा लिया है अपना सेपरेट अब यहाँ पर पहले से ही अलाउ नहीं है कुछ पक्का रूम बनाना बाथरूम बनाना अगर लाइन भी लगाओ ना तो 1-2 घंटा वहीं रहो नहीं कि खरीद जाओ इतना लाइन लगा के फिर जाओ और फिर इंसान है ना और बोर हो जाता है कि साला कुछ है ही नहीं बाथरूम में जाओ तो लाइन लगा के जाओ पर कुछ कर नहीं सकते रास्ते तो जाते हैं उन्हें तो जाना ही है मुंबई
Many of the slum's poorest residents are Dalits. This title, meaning oppressed, describes men and women at the bottom of the social ladder, the untouchables in India's caste system, who are looked down upon to this day. India proclaimed equality for all citizens in 1950, when the country was declared independent. Unfortunately, some centuries-old prejudices persist.
अब बाहर जगह रहेंगे तो अगर हम उनको भाड़ा देंगे तो उतना हम लोग का इनकम नहीं है। अभी जैसे कि 5,000-6,000 रुपये रूम का भाड़ा है। अगर छोटा सा 10 बाई 10 का रूम लेंगे तो 6,000-5,000 इससे और कम से कम 50,000 रुपये इसकी पगड़ी है, यानी डिपॉजिट। इससे कम नहीं है, इसलिए हम लोग नहीं रह पाते हैं।
Abdul and his family are Muslim, and like many Dawods, only earn a very small income, around €7 a month. This meager wage doesn't go very far. A day's water can cost almost €1.
बस यही है अपना भी सपना कि बच्चे लोग लाइफ बनेगी अच्छा। अपना तो कैसे भी गुजर रहा है, बच्चों का अच्छा गुजरना चाहिए आगे का आने वाला टाइम। पर मेरा तो सपना है कि जब मैं कुछ करूँ तो फिर यहाँ से अपनी फैमिली को निकालूँ।
Hopes and dreams are kept alive by paramedics as they tend to the poorest citizens in the slums of Mumbai and Villas Miserias in Buenos Aires. Whether working for a private company or a community co-op, these emergency medical workers believe quality healthcare is a fundamental human right. The mission that drives their work is that every life, whether rich or poor, is a life worth living.
We save the life of lots of patients. The happiest moment is we transfer the patient to the hospital on the bed and we explain the doctors and they feel, yeah, you did everything. That is a biggest moment for us.
¿Por qué me dediqué a ser enfermera? Porque me gusta ayudar al otro. Pienso que esa vocación sale, ¿no? De uno ser enfermero.
Saving the life is always a happy moment, and whenever we do such kind of thing, like whenever we revive a patient, it is a feeling of great satisfaction.